Title: The Neighbor Who Never Slept, a True Surveillance Horror Case. Discovery: The first reports came from the west wing of Fairview Court, a quiet, aging apartment building on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon. The kind of place where tenants stay for years, not because they love it, but because it's familiar, predictable, and cheap. Nothing dramatic ever happened there. No police cars. No noise complaints. Just the soft hum of the nearby highway and the occasional dog barking at dusk. That changed the night apartment 4B became vacant. It had been occupied for almost 7 years by a man named Daniel Holt. Mid-30s, quiet, punctual on rent, worked remotely in IT support. The kind of tenant landlords love because they never cause problems. He didn't host guests. He didn't socialize. He didn't even order delivery. Residents say the only time they saw him was on the first Tuesday of every month when he walked to the lobby to collect packages. So when he stopped being seen entirely, no one noticed, at first. It was the landlord, Marjorie Klein, who finally entered his unit. Rent payments had stopped. Emails bounced. And a wellness check from police went nowhere because the door to 4B was locked from the inside. What the officers found did not suggest a struggle. No forced entry. No overturned furniture. No blood. Actually, there was almost nothing at all. The apartment was nearly empty. Not messy, empty. A bed frame but no mattress. A desk with no chair. One drinking glass in the kitchen sink. And there was one more thing. Every window in the apartment, bedroom, living room, even the bathroom, had been covered from the inside with heavy soundproofing panels, sealed edge to edge with industrial-grade adhesive. There was no natural light, no airflow, no way to see out or in. The police called the scene unusual but not criminal, and closed the case as a voluntary disappearance. People move. People cut ties. People start over. No crime. No suspect. No investigation. The building went on with life. Until the complaints started. Not from 4B. From 4A, the unit directly next door. The new tenant was a college student named Hannah Price, 22, studying late, juggling 2 jobs, barely home enough to sleep. But on her second week in the building, she went to the landlord with an odd complaint. Someone in 4B is moving around at night. Marjorie reminded her. 4B is empty. Hannah didn't argue. Calmly, she just said, "No, someone is walking in there. Slowly, back and forth, all night." The landlord dismissed it, old building noises, pipes contracting, that sort of thing, but Hannah pushed again 2 days later. This time, her voice had changed. She was certain. The footsteps don't start until after 2 a.m., and they don't stop until morning. When asked how she could be sure it was footsteps, Hannah didn't hesitate. Because they pause. Like someone is standing still, listening. Marjorie relayed the issue to maintenance. The maintenance tech attempted to enter 4B, only to find the door wouldn't open. Not locked, jammed, as though something heavy was pressed against it from the inside. But they had seen the place. It was empty, wasn't it? They scheduled a full entry for the weekend. But they never made it to the weekend. Because 3 nights later, something changed. The footsteps stopped. And were replaced by something worse. Hannah began hearing someone speaking. Not talking. Whispering, but patient, steady, as if reciting something. And it was always the same pattern. 20 seconds of silence. 12 seconds of whispering. But repeat, over and over, from 2:14 a.m. to sunrise. She recorded it on her phone. But when she played the recording in daylight, there was nothing. Silence. The audio track was blank. Not corrupted. Not glitched. Just empty. She told her roommate that she wasn't scared, yet, but she couldn't understand why audio would pick up footsteps but not voices. Her roommate suggested stress, or auditory hallucinations from lack of sleep. But Hannah didn't look sleep-deprived. If anything, she looked like she hadn't slept at all. On Thursday at 3:07 a.m., Hannah called the police. Her voice on the 911 recording is unusually level. Not panicked. Not emotional. Just certain. "I need officers at Fairview Court. There is someone standing in my bedroom wall." Not inside her room. In the wall. The dispatcher asked her if she meant the neighbor's apartment. Hannah said, "No, I mean inside the wall. I can hear him breathing. There's no ventilation. There's no space in the wall. He's right there. He has been there all week. He does not sleep." The line stayed open. Police arrived 10 minutes later. When they got there, the apartment was silent. No one answered the door. The officers forced entry, and Hannah was gone. No sign of forced exit. No belongings missing. No signs of struggle. But the bedroom wall, the one she insisted the breathing came from, showed something strange. The drywall had been replaced recently. A perfectly clean, smooth panel of new white sheetrock, painted to match the rest of the room. Fresh odor of plaster still faint in the air. The landlord swore no maintenance orders had been requested. No contractors had been scheduled. No one had keys but her. Police opened the wall. Behind the drywall was a narrow crawl space. Too narrow for a person to move through. Barely 8 inches deep. But the insulation had been hollowed out by hand. Finger-width tunnels. Dozens of them. Like someone had been moving through the walls piece by piece, over months. And deep inside, barely visible unless you leaned in close, there were scratch marks. Hundreds of them. All from the inside. Escalation. The official missing person investigation into Hannah Price began quietly. Not because the police wanted it that way, but because there was nothing to announce. No leads. No point of exit. No witnesses. And the crawl space, the tiny, impossible hollowed-out network inside the walls, raised more questions than answers. The building's tenants were never informed of the wall discovery. Most of them didn't even know Hannah had vanished. The landlord simply posted a notice that 4A was undergoing electrical maintenance. But word spreads differently among neighbors. Within a week, residents began noticing small changes. The hallway lights flickered at exactly 2:14 a.m. every night. The radiator pipes made a slow, rhythmic tapping sound. Not random, but steady. Packages left in the lobby disappeared within minutes, even when people watched the hallway the entire time. Yet no one ever saw anyone taking them. No one claimed the noises. No one mentioned the timing. Everyone tried to explain it away. Except for one man, Unit 5C, Thomas Avery, age 54. Thomas had lived in Fairview Court longer than anyone else. 13 years. Long enough to remember previous tenants most people forgot. When police returned to re-interview the building, Thomas requested to speak privately. His words came out slow, like someone forcing themselves to share something they'd promised long ago to ignore. "This has happened before." The lead detective asked him to clarify. Thomas shook his head. "Not Hannah. Not exactly. But the walls. The noise. The person who never sleeps." He said the last part carefully, not frightened, but as if naming it made it real. The previous tenant. According to Thomas, years earlier, before Daniel Holt, 4B was occupied by a woman named Evelyn Cross, a night shift nurse at St. Augustine Medical. Quiet, polite, rarely seen. But unlike Daniel, she wasn't isolated by choice. Thomas remembered that she couldn't sleep. Not that she didn't sleep, that she literally couldn't. She told neighbors she had a rare neurological disorder that prevented her from entering deep sleep cycles. Most thought she exaggerated, but Thomas remembered the sound. You'd hear her pacing. Every night. Slow. Measured. Like she was counting steps. The pacing became whispers. Whispers became knocks. Knocks became scratching. A mental break, they assumed. She was found wandering the hallway at 3 a.m., disoriented, eyes unfocused. When paramedics arrived, she repeated one phrase. "He's in the walls. He's listening. Don't sleep. Don't sleep." Evelyn was institutionalized. Her apartment sat empty. 2 months later, Daniel Holt moved in. The surveillance footage. Police obtained permission to review the building's internal security system. Fairview Court had cheap cameras, grainy, low resolution, no sound, enough to capture movement, not detail. The footage revealed something wrong. Beginning at 2:13 a.m. every night, the minute before Hannah claimed the steps began, shadows moved in the hallway. Not figures. Not people. Shadows. But shadows require a source. There was none. They moved slowly, always stopping outside one of 3 units. Hannah's. 4B, Daniel's former unit. And 5C, Thomas Avery's. But Thomas denied hearing anything inside his own walls. When detectives asked why the shadows stopped at his door, he said, "Because I didn't listen. That's how you survive here. You don't listen. You don't respond. You don't acknowledge it." That night, police set up audio surveillance inside Hannah's former unit, 4A, to verify the sounds she claimed to hear. The recording began at midnight. For 2 hours, silence. At 2:14 a.m. on the dot, the same moment the hallway shadows appeared in footage, the microphone detected a breath. Not a voice. Not a word. Just breathing. Slow. Controlled. Like someone was sitting inches from the microphone, but the apartment was visibly empty. Then came the sound of soft dragging. Like fingertips sliding across drywall. Then footsteps. But not on the floor. Inside the wall. The hidden room. A second maintenance sweep was ordered for 4B, the supposedly empty unit Daniel left behind. This time, they removed the sound dampening panels. Behind them, the windows were untouched. The apartment had been sealed intentionally, but not to keep sound out. To keep sound in. On the bedroom wall, beneath layers of wallpaper, they found markings carved directly into the plaster. Rows and rows of tally marks, uneven, frantic. Not days. Not time. At the center of the wall, a phrase carved deeper than the rest. Don't sleep. He moves when you dream. The second phrase below it. He crawls through quiet spaces. And then, a final line. The only one carved with precision, as if written slowly, deliberately. I can feel him learning me. The implication hit the investigation team slowly. This was not a breakup. Not a relocation. Not a runaway. Daniel had tried to keep himself awake. Sealing light, sealing sound, removing stimuli, removing furniture. Every choice pointed towards sensory deprivation. Daniel had not been hiding from the outside world. He had been hiding from the walls. The last recording. One final discovery shifted the case from unsettling to truly disturbing. An undoctored audio file was found in Daniel's old laptop, recovered from recycling records. A 3-minute voicemail he left to himself, dated 11 months before his disappearance. I can hear him again. He's pacing now. He knows when I'm tired. He waits for it. I don't think he's outside the wall. I think he's inside the building. Inside the materials. In the gaps. I think he was here before us. And he never learned how to sleep. If I sleep, I think he'll learn me too. Do not sleep. Do not sleep. Do not. The recording ends with 3 tapping sounds. So, rhythmic, deliberate, the same pace Hannah described, the same pace Evelyn counted, the same pace every tenant heard, but never named. Revelation. The investigation into Fairview Court was officially suspended within 6 weeks. No evidence of a crime. No living suspect. No conclusive psychological pattern. Just disappearances, insomnia, and sounds in the walls that no recording could verify. But the tenants didn't need evidence. They moved out. One by one. Not with drama. Just quietly, without saying goodbye, without taking much with them. By spring, only 2 units remained occupied. 5C, Thomas Avery, who claimed the key to survival was not acknowledging the sounds. And 4B, still sealed, untouched, silent. For a while. The return of the noises. The building fell into disrepair without rent income. Hallway lights went unreplaced. The heating system whined and stuttered. Paint peeled in quiet flakes. But at night, one thing remained consistent. 2:14 a.m. Soft footsteps. Measured pacing. A presence that felt patient rather than predatory, like something waiting for someone to make a mistake. And then, on a fog-heavy Thursday morning, the landlord called 911 again. Not because someone had vanished, but because someone had returned. The man who never left. At 5:37 a.m., a figure was found standing in the courtyard, barefoot and wearing clothes 2 sizes too large, sleeves hanging limp off narrow arms. He was thinner than any medical textbook considered survivable. Cheekbones sharp. hands trembling, eyes wide open, unblinking. He introduced himself without being asked. My name is Daniel Holt. He had been missing for 11 months. Police asked where he had been. He did not hesitate. Inside. I was inside. But not inside what, he wouldn't say. When doctors asked how long it had been since he slept, Daniel laughed. Not joyfully. Not sarcastically. Just tired. Sleeping is how he enters. Dreaming is the door. Don't you understand? He doesn't need a body. He just needs a space. Any quiet space. Silence is where he walks. When asked who he was, Daniel didn't answer. He turned his head toward the wall of the medical room he was in, a plain painted wall, and stared. Not fearfully, not anxiously, just knowingly, and spoke a sentence that unsettled every doctor in that room. He followed me here. The building's final hours. That same morning, a state inspector arrived to evaluate structural integrity, standard procedure in missing person cases involving crawl spaces. He reported something new. The tunnels behind the walls were expanding. Not carved by hand. Not dug by tools. They were growing, like pressure from the inside had slowly forced the walls apart. The building was becoming hollow, like something was moving freely through it. Within 48 hours, Fairview Court was condemned. Tenants, including Thomas, were forced out. Removal crews arrived to begin demolition. But on the morning the building was supposed to be torn down, one worker refused to enter. He said the entire foundation sounded wrong. Like breathing. Slow. Measured. Patient. The demolition supervisor laughed at first, until he placed his own ear to the wall. And froze. Because it wasn't breathing. It was footsteps. Inside the drywall. Right behind his ear. Pacing. Pausing. Listening. Just like before. The final twist. Fairview Court's demolition was cancelled the next day. Not due to cost. Not due to permit issues. But because the walls had become structurally unsafe to touch. Any attempt to break or remove them caused the material to collapse inward, like there was no interior support left at all. As though the inside of the building had been eaten away. Room by room. Hall by hall. Wall by wall. Leaving only empty space. Too narrow for a person, but wide enough for something else. Something that never slept. Where it ended and didn't. Fairview Court was fenced off. No public entry. No salvage allowed. Yet people still report shadows moving inside at 2:14 a.m. Sometimes pacing. Sometimes whispering. Sometimes stopping at the fence line to listen. And one more thing. In the months after the building closed, 6 former residents reported the same sleep pattern. Waking up at exactly 2:14 a.m. Hearing nothing, but knowing something is awake. Not outside. Not in the room. In the walls. Everywhere there is silence. Anywhere a space is left unused. Any gap wide enough to move through. They say once you hear it, once you notice it, it knows you now too. It learns you. It waits for you to sleep. And it never runs out of time. Because it never needs to. It never sleeps. And now, you do. If you thought this story was terrifying, just wait for the next one. Subscribe before it drops.